Hi everyone, today I want to talk to you about why some people don't recover from OCD. And this topic I get asked about a lot because people obviously want to know, will they recover, will they not recover? And the biggest thing that separates people who recover from the people who do not is the fact of how much they're willing to push themselves in terms of exposures and not seeking reassurance. Just to reiterate, and if this is the first video you're watching, reassurance is any behavior that is done specifically to reduce the anxiety for OCD, such as checking, such as going mentally back like ruminating, going back in time to see if something happened or not, asking other people, doing online research specifically to see if the situation is dangerous or not. Or sometimes what people do is they do avoidance, meaning they avoid the situation to make sure they're not going to get an OCD thought. All of these behaviors are in their core reassurance because you are reassuring yourself that you are safe, and you are reassuring yourself that you are safe from a situation that does not need reassuring. When you're doing that, you are confusing the brain. So the more you do these reassurance behaviors, the more you're confusing your brain to believe that something is real and dangerous when it's not real and not dangerous. To get over OCD, you need to give up all reassurance. When people don't recover from OCD, it's because they cannot give up reassurance because they're just scared. And everybody's scared when they start getting over OCD because when you start to stop seeking reassurance, you don't actually have any proof that the situation is not real. So you are taking a leap of faith in the beginning. And by leap of faith, I mean that you're not gonna know if you're doing the right thing. So you're taking a chance basically. But I'm telling you, from my experience of getting over OCD myself, from helping so many people get over OCD, that this is the right thing to do and you're not going to regret it. And then you will get that reassurance at some point that the situation it was right to disregard it, was right not to seek reassurance. But right in the middle of it, when you're refusing to, for example, if you feel like, what if I have HIV and I've taken 20 tests already, but I think they've done something wrong and I need to take that 21st test, you really feel like you need to do it, but you have to refuse. And when people are unable to refuse, that's when they cannot stop themselves from getting over OCD. If they're able to refuse even a little bit, they will get over it. Because the more you refuse these behaviors, the more you're sending a signal to your mind that the situation is not dangerous, there's nothing here, please move on. And the mind will move on. If you do it really well, your mind will move on really fast. If you do it sometimes, your mind will move on, but it will take longer period of time. So, but everybody will go from point A to point B as long as they're going down that road, right? But if you're just doing reassurance after reassurance after reassurance, and then maybe one time you are not, but overwhelming amount you are, then you're really progressing backwards because you're taking more steps back than you are taking steps forward. So that is why some people don't recover. And it's not a lifelong kind of sentence when I'm saying that. It's right now they're not recovering. Sometimes I find that the person will be doing really bad in terms of recovery, and then they hit a very kind of strong crisis situation where they've just hit rock bottom, and then they start to really focus on exposures, really focusing on not paying attention. Because an exposure, again, if you don't know, it's a situation where you can either pay attention to an OCD thought or you cannot. You're exposed to the thought. So maybe it's, for example, for driving, a person was driving, they think they hit something. That thought that they think they hit something, that's an exposure to their feared situation that they're dealing with when it comes to OCD. So now what they're going to do? If they're going to seek reassurance, they're going to feel worse. Overall, their OCD is going to get worse. In this situation, the anxiety might get better, right? But next time they're driving, they're going to get even worse anxiety because the brain thinks that it's even more dangerous now because you've just sent that signal. So there's a big difference between anxiety and OCD recovery. Anxiety is what's happening in the moment because you already sent those signals in the past. Recovery is what you're doing in the moment with that anxiety to help yourself in the future. So there are two very different things, and I find that people struggle a lot with this, well, thinking that they need to get rid of the anxiety. The anxiety is like a byproduct. It's the same thing as when you have a cold and you have a runny nose, and you're trying to stop the runny nose. You still have a cold, which will still give you the runny nose. Do you know what I mean? You have to take care of the actual problem behind what's happening. You know? So, and like I said, if you feel right now that you are not recovering, it's not a forever life sentence. Just try to do better when it in terms of the reassurance, because the reassurance is key to recovering OCD. And then if you feel like you're doing everything and you're just too scared, your anxiety is too high, you can't even make one step forward, then I would suggest maybe going towards the medication, just because you can use medication, very small dose, as it, and again, I'm not a doctor, but I see that it works for people who do it. That in a small dose, it will give you enough of a breathing room in order for you to be able to do better in your exposures. But just really, honestly, guys, I'm not getting onto the medication topic because I know that this takes forever and people get annoyed. But I just want to say that you have to use medication as a tool and not as a sole thing of getting over OCD, because you're not going to get over OCD with medication. You might mask your symptoms, but as soon as you're off of it, you're going to have problems again, because you're not really retraining your mind. All you're doing is masking the problem. So as soon as you get off of the medication and then the next thought is going to come into your mind, bam, you're gonna have it all over again. And then this is number one. Number two is I've seen maybe twice that medication actually took all of the symptoms away. In my entire time of helping people, I've only seen it twice. So the percentage is, I don't know, 99% of people it doesn't help and 1% it does help, in terms of completely getting over the symptoms, right? But most people will have a little bit of a lighter, like their anxiety is going to be a little bit lower. So just enough basically to give them the breathing room. So if you feel like it's not working, that might be something you want to look into. Because again, if you are using medication as a recovery tool, it's a temporary situation. You are doing the work that it takes to recover from OCD, and you just have something helping you. As you get better at doing the work, you do more exposures, your anxiety goes down, you will feel like, okay, maybe I can do it without the medication now. So as a temporary thing, what's 2 months, 3 months of taking medication doesn't really matter in terms of a lifetime. It's not that bad, but using it as the only solution. And if your doctor tells you this is how it is, you have to be on medication for life, I'm telling you, go get a better doctor, because this person doesn't know what they're talking about. Because I see people every day recover from OCD. So if your doctor is telling you that there's no way to recover and the only way is to take medication, that's probably what they read in their literature, and they don't know much more than that. Because practice says otherwise. And if they don't have that practice, if they don't have that many patients with OCD, they might just not know it, and they read it, okay, this is what it is, bam, done, So it's just, again, I'm not going to get into the whole topic of it, but just something to kind of think about and consider. Thank you guys so much for listening to this video. If you have any questions, you can visit youhaveocd.com. I have on there a recovery program, which is one-on-one with me. I also have ebooks available that are on specific OCD topics and themes. There's also a lot of free information on there. If you would like to email me directly, you can do so to info@youhaveocd.com. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.